What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Mod Squad Network's Conversations with the Mod Squad. I'm your host, Kevin, always joined by Felix.
What's up?
And this week's guest is Mr. Aaron Clutter from Comic Booked. How's it going, man?
Pretty good, yeah. Comic Booked is still around, although the site's temporarily on hiatus, but we still have our YouTube channel out there. We're still on X, and I think we still have an Instagram account, but I think it's managed by somebody else. So,
Oh, very cool, very cool. All right, the first question I always like to ask before we get into the real meat and potatoes is, what exactly is Comic Booked, and how did that website, or in this case, YouTube channel, come about?
well, that's a good question. We're a site that's been around, I think 10 or maybe 13, 10 or 12 or 13 years, right around there, but gone through a few changes over that period of time. It started out as multiple different sites. So there was a site that was focused on comic books, a site focused on movies, and a site focused on video games. And those ran independently for a few years. We had varying writers come in and join and then leave and join and leave. A lot of fluctuation over time, as tends to happen when nobody's getting paid, you know, right? So you have to find people who are passionate about whatever the subject is. So I came in and I was assistant to the editor-in-chief for a while. We worked through, kind of a drop in writers, and we were trying to carry the load between 4 or 5 of us, and we did well, keeping up 2 or 3 articles a day, and we put up a couple YouTube videos each week, and just trying to stay active, on all the platforms, and that's a lot of work when all of us also had full-time jobs and families that we were dealing with. So eventually other folks left, and as people left above me, I moved up, as that tends to happen. What do they call that? Battlefield promotions, right?
Yes.
Until I ended up as currently CEO of the company, which whatever that means, because I don't know that there's really a company as such, but the name's still out there. So I did a lot of YouTube videos over the last 5 or 6 years. So there's a lot of stuff out there if you check us out. So it's Comic Booked, and it's Booked, just for anybody looking for it. And it's actually on YouTube as spacebooked.com, which is really odd. So I don't know why they didn't just do it as Comic Booked. It was kind of weird, but a lot of content out there, and I try to do stuff every once in a while. I haven't done anything for maybe 6 or 8 months, but I'm starting to get back into it.
We'll leave a link in the description of the video. So if anybody's looking to get into Comic Booked, we'll leave a link. So there we go. So basically what this is all about is we're going to let your fans get to know you, but more on a personal and lighthearted way. We'll start off with some word association with Felix. I'll do some 15 thought-provoking, and we'll end it up with some rapid fire this or that. So Felix, if you want to go ahead and take it away with some word association.
Really quick, I know we talked about it already, but Ron, do you get that a lot?
All the time, yes. Yeah, it's the only way I can make sure people spell it right, too.
All right. First one is Western.
John Wayne.
Hero.
Superman.
Desire.
We stay on the movie stars. We could say Marilyn Monroe.
Ooh, you can't hate. Network.
Connections.
Storm.
Hurricane.
Adventure.
Experience.
Bizarre.
Odd.
Memory.
Family.
Fear.
Oh. Close spaces.
Comic book.
Too many.
And my
Because
last one, cheeseburger.
oh, too many calories.
But they're
Agreed.
so good. They are so
I
good.
know, but I've been on a weight loss journey, we'll say, for my whole life. I've had issues with my weight since I was 12 years old.
Same,
And
brother, same.
Join the club, man.
I finally hit my limit about a year ago, and I was just like, I got to do something about it. And I started a medical weight loss program, and so far I'm down about 45 pounds.
Oh,
So
nice. Congratulations, man.
yeah,
Yeah.
100 and some to go, but every little bit's progress. So
It's better than regressing. Progress is better than regress. So,
Yep.
all right. So to follow up on Felix's cheeseburger, is a hot dog a sandwich?
see, that really depends because a sandwich is supposed to be two sides, right, with openings on both ends, but because a hot dog is in more of a open box, it's actually more of a pie.
That's the first time we've gotten that one.
Yeah. I haven't gotten pie before. I'd take hoagie, but I don't know if pie. Okay, we're going to agree to disagree on this one. But that's perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. But when I think of a hot dog, I think of going to an event. And me, I like going to wrestling events because when that wrestler comes through that curtain and his music hits, you know exactly who he is and what he's all about. If you had a theme song if you had a theme song that played every time you walked into a room, what would it be?
Boy, I don't know. I really like. I think Twilight Zone by Golden Earring.
Okay.
That bass line is awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, and everybody would know it because a good bass line. That's what really hits is a good bass line.
Yeah.
We're gonna stay with some music, and I want to know what's your guilty pleasure car karaoke song. You know that song that plays that you roll up the windows and you crank up the music and you just sing it as loud as you can, but you're kind of embarrassed that you do.
I don't know. I don't know if music really embarrasses me. I've always liked all kinds of different genres. Um, Boy, what would be? I don't know if I have any specific one. I mean, I grew up with all different musical tastes because my mom had a lot of different music from the 60s and 70s. So that's what I kind of grew up with, even though I grew up in the 80s. So, Elton John, Billy Joel, that kind of stuff, that was really my go-to. James Taylor, that kind of thing. So anytime that comes on, but really, not that I'm embarrassed, but anytime it comes on, I've definitely got to sing along with Hotel California by the Eagles. And I know all the words.
I like it.
So.
I like it. That's a good one. We're going to stay in the car, and I want to know what is the farthest you've ever traveled from home for vacation?
See, that would require me to have actually gone on vacation sometime in my life. I've always worked, since I was like, I talk about having issues with my weight since I was 12. I've worked since I was pretty much 12. I grew up on a farm, so worked all the time. As a family, if we traveled for vacation, it was to visit family. And it wasn't much like, we never went to Disneyland. We never went to places like that. And when I've gone places like that, it's for work. I go to a conference and they happen to just have a pass to Epcot or something. The furthest I've ever traveled, like by myself or with anybody, was I did drive across country from North Carolina to New Mexico.
Okay.
And I was in the process of changing jobs, but it was kind of like a vacation because you kind of stop along the way and see the sights and do all that kind of stuff.
It's better than being at home. Well,
True.
Maybe.
As long as you can stand 14 hours in the car,
This is true. But that's in distance. How about time? If you could travel 10 years to the past or 10 years to the future, only for 24 hours, which way would you go and why?
That's a good question. I think because both of them have benefits.
Mm-hmm.
10 years in the future, you can kind of see what trends are, especially if I always think in terms of investments or collectibles. You go 10 years in the future, you go, what are people buying now? What are they interested in? 10 years in the past, you can go back and tell yourself, hey, do something different, or you can do something for yourself different. Um, yeah, that would be interesting because 10 years in the past, we're talking what, 2014?
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I don't know if I'd go in the past though. I think I'd go 10 years in the future just to see where things were. Because right now, I think we're in such um, a time of change that it'd be interesting to see the results of that 10 years in the future.
This is very true. This is very true. Everything's in flux right now. So, all right. How about a little color theory? How would you describe the color purple to a blind man?
Interesting. Well, I think you'd have to address it with his other senses. So, if you were to say, okay, you've tasted grape jelly, you know how that tastes. You smell a violet. You give him things that are purple, and associate those things with the flavors and the smells. Um, Even a sound, a deep bass sound or something associated to that, to explain the color, and especially for someone who's never seen, they've been blind all their life, it's very difficult. But
Right.
associating that to the other senses would be the key.
I agree.
My wife lost her hearing when she was 19, and so 17. Sorry, she corrected me. Now she can hear. She has a cochlear implant, so now she can hear me. I don't get away with that stuff anymore. But for her, the hearing world is really a challenge. There's a lot of things people don't consider when you're talking about being able to hear versus not. And
Mm-hmm.
they don't make movies for deaf people. Really, they don't make theaters for deaf people. They don't make
No, they do not.
houses designed for deaf people. So it's interesting to think about things from that perspective. And I've dealt with a lot of that since we've been together. What now? Almost 8 years. Almost 8 years.
I've dealt with it a lot. I dealt with it a lot in my early life as well. My very first wife was completely deaf, so I get it. Yeah. All right. What is the funniest thing to ever happen to you that you can legally talk about?
Oh boy. Funniest, like, well, let's see. That's interesting. Um, I don't know. All my funny stories are kind of sad.
The
Like things
sad
like
ones
now
can
you can look
actually
back
be
and laugh
funny
at
though.
them, but yeah, I got kicked out of the army for being 0.01% over my body fat allowance. That was kind of
Oh,
funny in hindsight. Yeah.
you think that
Point
they
It was
do it?
during the
01?
90s. During the 90s, they were trying to get to downsize the military. Bill Clinton was all about, getting as many people out as he could.
So they were just
I
looking
joined
for
the army.
reasons.
That was the whole thing. Yeah, I joined
Yeah.
the army right out of high school, and they changed the weight limits while I was in. And yeah, it was kind of funny because my platoon sergeant even told me that his goal was to get as many people discharged before he retired as he possibly could. So I'm like, well, that's great because that means you're targeting me. But yeah, I mean, I lived in California for a couple years on the government dime, which was fun. But yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of things in my life. I've met a lot of people. I can't think of any really big funny story that happened to me necessarily, but
It works. Not a big deal. If you were to poll your family and friends, what would they say you're most known for?
well, it depends on who you ask. My kids would probably say bad dad jokes, um,
I mean, mine too.
and maybe
In there, done that.
talking a little bit too much about politics sometimes. um, my mom, it depends. The rest of my family would probably talk about me, making jokes when it's not necessarily appropriate. Um, yeah, always the class clown. That was the thing in school.
It sounds like we have a lot in common. Maybe not the politics thing because I'm not a political guy, but we have a lot in common.
If you live in the country, you should kind of know what's going on at
Well,
least. That's
I do, but
what I
I'm
would
not.
say.
I'm not. I don't talk politics. It's just
Yeah. I get it.
if you we're both super hero guys, comic book guys. Superman is my comic of choice. I love me some Superman. But if you had a superhuman power, what would it be, and would you use it for good or evil?
That's a good question. A lot of people pick flight, or they pick invisibility or something like that. But I think probably the power to selectively read minds would be the most powerful thing you could do, and it would be hard to use that strictly for good.
I wouldn't. There's no way would I. No.
I mean, for the most part, yes, but you'd
for the
use that
most part,
advantage.
but
I'd use that advantage.
I would definitely take advantage of it at times, for sure.
Yep.
Like I said, I'm a comic book guy. That is my media of choice. But what single piece of media, whether it be book, movie, or TV show, has had the most influence on the person you are today?
That's interesting. Boy, that's really hard to narrow it down. I read a lot as a kid. I read everything in the library. I grew up in a small town in northern Minnesota. We were about 100 miles from the Canadian border. So,
Minnesota, eh?
Yeah, you betcha. 500 kids in the whole school, kindergarten through 12th grade. My graduating class was 52 people, so it was small. But I read every book in the library. So reading definitely was a big impact on me. Helped my vocabulary, helped my education. But trying to pick one book or something that was really the most influential, or comic, or it's so hard. It's like saying, what's your favorite movie? I think
Back to the Future.
Titanic.
I don't know. It's good, but it's not my favorite. See, I have so many where I could say all of these different genres. But yeah, as far as I would say, looking at older books, classic literature, like A Christmas Carol. It's such an iconic book, but it's also such a strong piece of literature. It influences the way I think about things that I read and watch. That's probably what I pick.
Oh, I like it.
Great Expectations, one of those two. Yeah.
Hey, that's perfectly fine for me. I also enjoy a good movie, and if your life was made into a movie, what would the title be, and who would play you?
It would probably be something like Happiness Found Later. That would be the title. Just because I had been married for 20 odd years. I have 5 kids. Got divorced back 7-8 years ago, and I met my current wife then, kind of right in the middle of all that. But we're perfect for each other, just best friends, and finish each other's sandwiches. So
I love that.
That's the big thing. But who would play me? That's tough. I'd probably want somebody who wasn't like a big name star. But yeah, I don't know. Or Ryan Reynolds, either one.
There you go. That would work for me. Ryan Reynolds could play me as well. Why not?
Yeah.
Again, movies. I love a good movie. One of my favorite movies is Castaway. Where he's stranded on a desert island. If you were stranded on a desert island, what 3 items would you take with you, and why?
Well, first would be a satellite phone, so I wouldn't have to be stranded if I didn't want to.
Okay, that's smart.
Something. Can it be a thing that contains more than one thing?
No.
Okay, because I was going to say like a survival kit. Okay. Then something to distill water. Maybe a big roll of plastic, because with that you can do a lot of things. You can make shelter. You can set up a little siphon to collect water. You can build all kinds of filters and nets even with that. And probably some sort of bladed weapon.
There you go. That's actually probably one of the best lists. Yeah, I like that. Right. If you could switch lives for anyone just for one day, who would it be and why?
Hmm. Probably somebody rich. Like, I would switch lives with Jeff Bezos, let him live in my life, and then I would transfer all his money over to me while I was him.
That's smart. That's
Smart.
smart. Be like, hey, I'm just going to transfer this money over to this random guy.
Not even all of it. Yeah, not even all of it. Just maybe, $1 billion. That's all I need.
Yeah, that's all. Just,
He wouldn't miss
just
it.
enough to live off of.
1%.
Pocket change.
All right, last
I don't
couple
know
of
though.
questions.
I don't know if I'd want to live his life. That would be. I don't know if I wanted to deal with that. But
Just for a day to help me. Yeah,
yeah, right.
I think I could manage. All right, last couple of questions I have is what is your 1 year, your 5 year, and your 10-year goals?
My 1 year right now is really to. And so we bought a house last year and moved in, and it was kind of a quick move. So a lot of things got shoved in the garage. A lot of things got shoved in a little room that I have off to the side of the house. So the 1 year plan is really to get all of that organized. Once that's done, I can do a lot more with. I also have a Whatnot channel that I do streaming on. So a lot of what I have, I want to be able to move through Whatnot, and I just haven't. I don't have the capacity in me some days to go in there and sort stuff. So that's my 1 year goal there. Also
Streaming
with
is
work, I have a full-time job too.
yeah, streaming is it's a lot more than just getting in front of a camera. Yeah.
For sure.
Agreed.
I look at some of these guys I was on, and not to talk about other people, but I was on a guy's stream the other day, and I was like, he's the most disorganized guy, and he's trying to jack his prices up so high, it's just ridiculous. I would warn anybody, when you go on Whatnot, you got to be very discerning what you're doing.
Buyer beware.
There's so many people out there looking to just rip you off and get rid of their garbage.
Was it Big Beast?
So yeah. No, this was some little smaller streamer. I tend to go to the small streams and just check them out because I want to, if they're good, I want to support them. I'll buy a couple things from them and just then I'll tell other people about them because if they're good streamers, I want to drive traffic to them. Then we kind of create that community and we help each other out. But some people, they either just don't think about what they're doing. And this guy he had bought a box and ripped all the packs open and just it was magic stuff and shoved them in an envelope. And he had some grab bags, and his grab bags were so overpriced. And anyway,
No,
I bought 4 of them and hid all the good ones. So I was like, yay, right.
all right.
Yeah.
The last question I have is if you took center stage to the world and had everybody by their ear, what would your message be?
This is where I quote Bill and Ted. Be excellent to each other. It really would be. I mean, at this point, it would be to listen to each other. I think that the biggest thing that doesn't happen right now is listening. Everybody wants to talk. Everybody wants to say their piece. I always think of the political situation, and all we have are 2 groups of people who like to talk, and nobody likes to listen. You can't have a conversation when people aren't willing to listen, and they're too busy thinking about what they're going to say while the other person's talking. So I would just say, listen to each other.
I like it. That's a great message. It's a very good message. All right, Felix, we're going to finish off with some rapid fire this or that. Felix, take it away, my man.
All right, I'm going to list 2 things. Just pick one of them. Is the term GIF or GIF?
It's GIF.
Android or Apple?
Android.
DC or Marvel?
Marvel now, DC 20 years ago.
I can agree with that. Prince or Michael Jackson?
Prince.
Xbox or PlayStation?
Xbox.
Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
No. It does not belong.
Agreed.
Cats or dogs?
Cats.
Books or audiobooks?
I I would pick books, but I think there's a situation for both.
Checkers or chess?
Yes.
The Walking Dead TV show or the Walking Dead comic?
That's a tough one, man. Probably the TV show. I think they expanded on the original universe so well.
And my last one, soft or hard homemade tacos?
Homemade, soft.
Okay.
Works for me. Usually we like to end it there, but I got one special one that I want to ask. Since you're a comic book guy, what is your Mount Rushmore of comic book heroes?
Interesting. I've always liked Daredevil, so he would be up there. And you think about Daredevil, he's not super strong. All he's got going for him is his reflexes. Everything else he's trained. I know people would put Batman up there, but I just can't. I like Batman, but he's not in my top 4.
Hey, this is your personal Mount Rushmore, so you could be
Yeah,
anybody.
oh yeah. Even though he's overused and stuck in everything, I still like Wolverine. And then I want to go to the DC side for a couple of characters there. Lobo is one of my favorites from the DC side. And Blue Beetle, the original Blue Beetle, Ted Kord. I always liked him.
I like it. Little off the wall characters, ones you would not expect. And that's what I would expect from a comic book guy. I like it a lot. All right. Where can people find you, and do you have anything coming up?
So I'm going to be streaming again on Whatnots in the next couple weeks. I was hoping to have something ready for Saturday or Friday to do like a Black Friday thing, but I'm not sure I'll be ready yet. I do Magic streaming, or sometimes I do Pokemon, but the Pokemon environment on Whatnot is really soured over the last year or so. You can check out our YouTube channel. Like you said, the link will be in the comments. I am going to try to get some more content going there. Other than that, I'm at conventions once in a while. I do work with a couple local conventions, the 4-State Comic-Con here in Maryland, that they have events a couple times a year. And I think they're in Harrisburg, and then they're in Hagerstown, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and Hagerstown, Maryland. And then I work, I drive for a lot of the conventions, so I go pick people up at the airport. And that's always a lot of fun, because then you get some time in the car with the stars. And
Right.
I like that personal, I got to drive Tyler Labine one time, but I had to drive to Brooklyn and pick him up and drive all the way back.
Wow.
So it was a long trip. It was nice, but he was tired on the way back, and he didn't really want to talk. And I'm like, dude, all I want to do is talk to you, But that's Creature Feature Weekends. That's up in Gettysburg. They do that once a year, and it's a lot of fun. So I do show up at those, and I'm going to try to have a table at the 4-State Comic-Con in Hagerstown next year.
Very cool. All right, I do believe that does it for this episode of Conversations with the Mod Squad. So thank you for being on, Aaron. It's been a blast. You've been an awesome guest. I've really appreciated it.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, not a problem. All right. Again, that does it for this episode of the Mod Squad Network's Conversations with the Mod Squad. So for Aaron and Felix, I am Kevin saying, if we don't see you again, thank you for being a friend.
See ya.